It is, bro. That's what I mean. Like,
It's a lot, man.
it is.
It's a lot.
Content, you don't realise how much fucking energy you have to spend on content.
Bro, we spend a full week.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm fucking flat out, bro. I'm like, I can't believe
We spend 2 days on ideation and scripting, and then we spend fucking at least 3 days shooting. And those 3 days of shooting, bro, we're doing like fucking 8 a.m. until fucking like 11 p.m. Like, they're big days, bro.
Oh, do you get sick of it?
Yes, I'm fucking at the point of being sick of it now, bro.
Yeah, right.
And when I say I'm sick of it, like, I'm not sick of it, bro. It's just, yeah, it has its moments, bro. But I love it. I still love it because I know that it's fucking impacting, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Mate, we're fucking straight into it. Benny, welcome to the Pondering Peach.
thank you, bro. Thanks for having me on.
Bro, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me in your humble abode. Look at this. We're in the jungle, mate.
Literally in the jungle, bro. I feel like Tarzan up in this bitch. You look like Tarzan with that hair of yours,
bro.
wait
till I let it out, mate. Fucking hell. Mate, I appreciate you having me on. I know how flat out you are. So it means a lot that you can bring me into your space and you can have me on. We can have a yarn because...
Yeah, of course, bro. Thanks for making the trip out, bro.
Oh, pleasure, bro. Pleasure. It's good. I'm doing another podcast in a few hours, fucking 20 minutes up the road. How
Killer.
Mate, it's banger. Benny, little tradition I do with every guest. First one, how are you?
I am stressed.
Mm.
I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I'm stressed.
That's what we want.
But that's part of business, isn't it? I don't think stress... People give stress a bad rap, right? Stress is inherently actually a natural thing. It's something that we all need to grow and to pursue and to get better in life, right? And I feel like this last season, last 2 months, especially the beginning of the year, we're in February now, have been challenging, but challenging in the best way. Like, we've had business issues, we've had family things going on. For anyone that doesn't know my story, we've got a blended family. So between my partner and I, we have 3 kids. And that, to say the least, the best of times are challenging, let alone throw a business into the mix, plus then having business with your partner. So stress would be the word that I'm using. However, that being said, it's also something that I am taking my stride to become stronger and to become a better father, partner, and leader. So I'm grateful for that.
Stressed. A late mentor of mine, Kerwin Ray, he says stress is like the gym. You need stress to grow, but you can't fucking live in the gym.
That's exactly right.
Are you living in the gym, Benny?
No, not at all, man.
So how do you balance it?
Well, bro, there's no such thing as balance. Balance is a fallacy, I believe. Balance is an absolute crock of shit. I think that at the end of the day, it comes down to priorities. And so you've got to be really good at spinning the plates and figuring out what the priority is at the time. So for instance, if we're starting to feel that the relationship might not be getting the love or attention it needs, we might have to pull back on something else. If we feel like the kids aren't getting the love and attention they need, we'll pull back on something else. If we feel like the business is starting to maybe slip a little bit, we'll have to pull back on something else. And so for me, balance isn't a word that I really relate to, because for me, it's just about figuring out what plate needs more of that attention at this point in time. And that's a constant, I wouldn't even say battle. That's a constant in life, if you like. Is really figuring out where to shift and put your energy and where to change your focus and whatnot. And that's something that I'm really becoming an expert in as of late.
Yeah. But that is balance, no? Like, it's not your traditional balance, what we know
right.
as, but it's the new age balance.
Well, when you think about balance, I mean, for me personally, and I'm sure most people listening, balance is about having a perfect equal amount of everything, right?
No, I don't think. Maybe.
No such fucking
Not for
thing.
me.
Yeah.
Because for what you're describing, like, I would say that is balance, bro. But you're using it in a way that is adaptable. You're not like, fuck, it has to be like this. I have to go and do this every day, or I have to go and do this. It's like, no, I'm looking at my list of things to do. It's like, we're cracking on here. Oh, this is pulling back. Like, that's insane self-awareness.
The thing is becoming the king of the pivot, right? Knowing when to shift.
King of the pivot. I love that.
Not holding on, right? It's that art of surrender, that art of letting go, not being so, which is something that I'm still learning a lot about, because the identity is I'm the men's coach and I'm working with guys around this, but then something else might be happening over here where I need to actually change my focus and change my attention. And so that'd probably be the way to describe it. The king of the pivot is what's been happening late.
I love that. That's such a petty word, that king of the pivot.
Run that.
Run it.
We're going to copyright that shit, trademark it. TM that bitch.
It's the next program, mate.
Yeah, done.
Talk to me, Benny. How would you introduce yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
I'm a father, I'm a partner, and I'd like to say that I'm a leader in the men's space, trying to help men to really become stronger fathers, stronger partners, and show up for their kids, their partners, and their lives in the way that they probably will never show and how. I guess to introduce myself, I'm just a simple man trying to make a difference in a man's world, in a place where I'd say men have really lost their way.
What's going on?
And when you say what's going on, what do you mean?
Why have men lost their way, bro?
Well, I feel that men have lost their way because look around you, right? The amount of domestic violence is on the rise. We look around the world, violence is, ever present. We, look into the households, like, walk down the street and you see most families are, well, not most families, but a lot of families are struggling when it comes to being able to have that stable and that grounded place to call home. I speak to men every single day, hundreds of men every week, that are struggling when it comes to whether it be drug abuse, alcohol, whether it be, feeling like they're not enough and not providing for their family in the way that they could be, their partner's feeling unsafe. Like, this is the thing, these are the conversations I'm having so often. So for me, I guess in my world, the way that I see things is that men are fucking struggling.
And in this work that you do, have you seen any patterns with these men who are struggling?
Yeah, of course. It all comes back to childhood. It all comes back to the way that we were raised, the way that we were shown to be men or not shown how to be men. For a lot of the men that I work with, their fathers might not have been present. They were raised by their mothers who was playing the role of mum and dad. And I guess at the end of the day, without having a positive role model, a lot of the time, these men will then latch on to the closest thing they can find as a male role model, whether it be an uncle, whether it be a friend, whether it be someone who's a little bit older than them. And a lot of the time, those role models might not be the best role models, or even a lot of the time, the fathers that they might have had, the figures in their life, might not have been the best role models. And all we're doing is really recreating that behavior in our own relationships. And so this is pretty much the pattern that I see, is that, our parents were just doing the best with what they could. They were doing the best with what they had. Yet a lot of the time, the men that I work with, they're turning to things like drugs, alcohol, gambling, womanizing, whatever it might be, to really try and fill that void that they feel within themselves. Because at a very young age, and I can speak into my experience here, 13 years old, I started drinking. I learned at 13 years old that the easiest way to not feel or not think or not deal with your problems was to drink, to go and get on it with the boys. And I learned that at 13 years old.
So that was an escape for you at 13?
100%. So 13 years old, my parents were getting a divorce. I remember standing out near the pool area at our house. We look, to be fair, like, my story's fun. It's a good one. But I didn't have a hard upbringing, if you like, from the outside looking in. I didn't get raised in a low socioeconomic area. There were plenty of opportunities. I went to private schools. I had what you could call a, perfect childhood, if you like. Mum and dad worked together until I was about 13 years old. Had a sister. We went on regular holidays, things like that. But once again, just because it looks good from the outside doesn't mean it's good on the inside. And that was where I was struggling from a very, very young age. I wasn't getting my needs met as a child. Both parents working really hard. Dad was not present. He was, once again, trying to provide for the family in the way that we as men were probably shown how, which was to work and come home and just kick back and go to work again and kick back and obviously not be present with the kids. Mum was stressed, I guess it's funny, right? I say I was stressed before. That was, I guess you could call my emotional home. It's what feels safest and most comfortable to me, because that was the environment that I was raised in. Mum always on edge, mum always stressed. And 13 years old, parents decided to get a divorce. We were standing out next to the pool area, and mum comes out. Dad was over in Indonesia on a work trip, and she said that me and your father are no longer going to be together. And at that point in time, I made the decision from that story and from that conversation that was had, that Dad didn't love us. That was the belief, and that was the story that I created from that situation. And so,
but you didn't know that consciously, right? Like, no. that was unconscious.
That's right. This was happening at a subconscious level. All it did was confirm the belief, because already Dad wasn't home. Already Dad was in front of the TV every time he got home. Already Dad was just drinking, and the drink was more important to him than it was me. And so once again, that just then confirmed that belief for me. And I remember saying out loud that my sister said to my mum, she goes, "Why would Dad do this to us?" And I said, "Because he doesn't love us." That was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And I remember that at the age of 13. And I was already very much a rebel. I didn't like to follow the rules. If you told me it was black, I'd tell you it was white. I was very much a defiant little prick. And obviously from here, things just got worse and worse. I became even more defiant, and I was lashing out, and alcohol was the thing that I found as my savior, as my refuge, because it helped me to escape the chaos that I was feeling at home, and also the struggles that I was feeling within.
Mm. And then, so what happened from there? You're saying that you started to drink from the age of 13. And then what? By the time you're 16, you're drinking every day, every week.
No, so 13, once again, it was like most weekends, whenever I could, I'd steal alcohol from mum and dad. I'd go to mates' houses, we'd steal their parents' alcohol, we'd go down to the skate park, we'd be out skating schools at whatever time of night, coming home whenever we wanted. Just out in the streets, just doing the thing that kids do, right?
Yeah.
Just running amok.
Did you have fun?
It was great. It was the best. I thought it was, honestly, it was unreal, But 15 years old, and I moved out of home. So mum had given me an ultimatum. I told her I didn't want to live with dad, I didn't want to live with her. She goes, well, you can just leave then. If you don't want to live with us, you don't want to follow our rules, you just do what you want to do. And I said, all right, well, I'm going. And at 15, I moved out. I was renting a room off shit.
Oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm just wigging out. You said 15, you moved out.
Yeah, I moved out of home when I was 15.
Yeah. Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's all right. So 15 years old, moved out of home, was living in a room with one of my managers. I was working at McDonald's at the time. My first and only job, by the way. So 13 years old till I was 16, I worked at Macca's. And one of my managers was kind enough to give me a room for $100 a week in a rent in a share house that he had that he owned. And so here I was, 15 years old, living off mee goreng, living off McDonald's, and out in the big bad world all by myself. And it wasn't too long after that I started smoking weed. A lot of the boys that I used to work with at McDonald's, we used to go out after, and one of them passed me a doobie one time, and here we are, puffing on the end of a joint. And I guess you could say I always had the entrepreneur's mindset, because the same day that the same day that I started using weed was also the same day that I bought quantities enough that I could sell. So
the same day? Same
day. So the first time I bought weed, I bought an ounce. And that was because I knew that there was lots of people that I knew that would want it. And so here I was selling pot out the back door of McDonald's. People would come to the front counter, tell me what they wanted. I'd go on a toilet break about 6 or 7 times a shift and sell pot through the back door of McDonald's.
That's wild.
This is like 15, 16 years old. So 15 years old, I was living out of home. And I was out of home for about a year at this point in time, ended up moving back in with my parents. But when I moved back in, my drug habit just increased, got worse and worse, because now I no longer had to stress about putting a roof over my head because I was back with my parents.
How did you go back home? What was the thing that happened there?
I just told them. I said, look, I'm ready to come back home.
And they were just like, yeah, sweet, come home.
They were trying to get me to come back home the entire time.
What was the moment that made you decide?
I couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't tell you. I just remember there was a lot of stuff that was going on. I got really, really sick. I got like glandular fever because of the stress, because I moved out of home. But I was also trying to take myself to school whilst also working a job, plus also selling weed, plus also partying all the time. And so my body just shut down. I'm getting glandular fever, and I was sick for like 3 months with just like the most ripper headaches, just like the most severe flu. And I just said enough's enough. I'm like, Mum, Dad, will you have me back? And I moved back in with my dad at first. And it was back in with Mum. She was a bit of a softie. Yeah. Moved back in with her, and then my drug habit got worse. I remember having another argument with Mum. I got kicked out again from her, so I went back to my dad. So it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was not too long after that I moved out of home again, about 17, I think, just before I turned 18. And I'm trying to recall the events that were taking place. So I wasn't working at this time. I was selling drugs full time. And to me, I was like, well, I'm making more money by not being at work than being at work. Yeah. So in my head, obviously money was the most important thing, especially at that age. I was like, well, I'm just going to go full time into selling drugs. And so here I was, 16 years old at this point in time. I was living with my parents for a little while. That didn't last too long. And then 17 years old, I moved back out of home, and things just really progressed from there.
How much were you pushing per week, out of curiosity?
When it came to weed, I wasn't really pumping heaps, but it was like maybe like a couple of pounds a week.
Yeah, right. But you're selling other stuff.
Sorry?
You're selling other stuff.
Not at this point in time.
Yeah, right.
Not at this point in time. So moved back out of home when I was 17, and it wasn't too long before my 18th birthday that I tried crystal meth for the first time.
Right on.
So ice was my drug of choice literally from that day forward. So I went pretty much straight from weed to smoking meth.
Yeah, right.
And it wasn't too long before I was doing that every single day as well.
Yep.
And once again, that just consumed my life. So from about 18, I could say I was, using drugs every single day, using ice every single day. My whole life revolved around smoking it, selling it, using it, whatever I could do to get my hands on it. And for the first few years, I was a real scumbag. I was like a real bottom of the bottom junkie. I'd do whatever I had to do. I'd go and steal people's power tools. I would, do whatever I had to do to get more of this shit. And I'd say that I was a terrible drug dealer because I was smoking everything that I was buying. So I was getting proper high on the own supply. And like I said, my whole life just revolved around this. And then obviously with that, the sort of people I was hanging around, the way that things progressed, it wasn't too long before I found myself in jail for the first time.
I'm waiting for you to keep talking, bro. What next?
Prompt me, give me something to talk. Ask me questions about it.
Then what happened?
Well, I found myself in jail for the first time, and it was, it's one of those moments where it could have either gone one or two ways. And the thing is, especially for Queensland prisons, they're a fucking kindergarten. They're honestly a joke. So here I found myself in jail thinking this would probably be the moment that turned me around. And I was only locked up for about a month at this point in time.
Yeah.
And all I did was meet more people and find more ways to get the drug that I wanted and get it cheaper.
Yeah, right. So you were 20 years old in jail?
20 years old, first time going in, yeah. So obviously things progressed quite quickly. I already had a pretty long rap sheet from when I was a kid. I think when I was 16, my first charge was 54 break-and enters. And 54 break-and enters. Right on. So we're out at a party, getting drunk, and we're going stealing things from people's cars, breaking into people's houses, just real scumbag behaviour. And it was just really me lashing out as a child. It was what I was doing. I was looking for attention, trying to get that need for attention from my mummy and daddy met, as we all are, right? And that carried on for a very, very long period in time. And 20 years old, here I am sitting in jail. And I just got out and things got worse, got way worse. So for the next 8 years of my life probably looked like something you'd probably see on an Underbelly TV series. I was at one point in time associated with bikies. I was moving copious amounts of meth. I was selling anything I could get my hands on, counting duffel bags full of money. It was, it was a pretty shaky ground there for a little while. There were points in time where I was on the run from the police for about a year or something like that. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a far cry from who I am today.
How did it feel like all of that stuff happened?
At the time, it was normal.
Did you know, like deep down, were you like, I don't want to do this? Like deep down, what was the underlying feeling?
My identity was completely tied up in that. I didn't ever think that I'd be successful or that I'd ever be anything other than a drug dealer, because the only time that I ever felt success and felt, well, if we boil down to what it actually comes down to, the reason that I love selling drugs, the reason that I loved doing all the things that I was doing is because it made me feel powerful. Yeah, and as a child, I never felt like I was enough. Yeah. Yet here I am with this thing that everyone wants, plus also a lot of money and the ability to do whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want. Yeah. And so I got addicted to that feeling. I got addicted to the false sense of self-worth and confidence that I got from being that person that I was. Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the time, when it was happening, did you feel like a mad cunt? Were you afraid? Were you like stressing all the time? Like
constant, bro. Constantly looking over my shoulder. Like anyone that's been to the depths of that world that I was in, it was really just trying to make sure that every day I wasn't going to get jumped, every day I wasn't going to get robbed, every day that who I could trust, who I couldn't trust. It was constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering whether my house was going to get run in on by police, wondering whether my house was going to get run in on by a rival dealer. It was constant stress. There was never a dull moment, that's for sure. And I was doing everything I could to distract myself. I was constantly high. I was drinking every single day. I was at the pokies, probably spending $2 or $3 grand a day there, because for me, it was just a distraction to distract me from what was going on. And if I really think about it now, understanding what I know about the way that I was, it was just all distraction. Yeah. It was stopping me from really having to sit with myself and become present with who I'd actually become, which is something that I didn't do until probably 26. And even that journey there was, it was non-linear. It's not like one of those things where I just made the decision, I'm going to start really looking at where this all comes from. I get an ounce of understanding where these behaviors have come from. And then I go, whoop, that's too much. Don't want to look at that. Because from a very young age, especially for myself and for most men, we get taught, don't be a little bitch.
Men don't cry.
Feelings,
it's weak to cry.
Feelings are weird. Like, don't do any of that. This is something that we get taught from a very young age and indoctrinated into, which is, I guess, back to the work that I do now, is really helping men to understand that emotions and feelings and all this sort of stuff, they're one of the most beautiful parts of the human experience that no other animal really get to experience, yet we shut ourselves off from doing that. And so it's really helping men to understand the power that there is in, being grounded, being a man who has emotional intelligence, being a man who actually understands what's going on within himself. So he's not reactive, he's responsive instead.
Talk to me about emotions. We'll get back to the story, but I want to hear your take on what is an emotion? What's the purpose of it?
Emotion? To signal something that is going on within our body. It's its basic level of the highest level of what an emotion is its energy. Energy that needs to be moved through the body. We feel anger, we feel sadness, we feel frustration, we feel whatever it might be, right? And in the Western world especially, we're very good at labeling things as good or bad, right? But they're all equanimous. They're all part of the human experience. They're neither here nor there. Yet we attach something to an emotion and then all of a sudden it becomes bad, so we don't want to feel this and so we avoid it. It's literally just as simple as understanding as energy. Everything around us is energy, and an emotion is just energy that we feel because we are energetical beings. Something that might not rub us the right way, something that we might feel because of a previous experience, whatever it might be, that's then building up in the body. And 99% of the time, we as men especially will just suppress and repress and push them down, which is why so many men have issues with anger, so many men have issues with being able to control themselves and lashing out, and why as soon as a man is to have a drink, all of a sudden this animalistic side of him comes out. It's just all the shit that's been built up underneath that then eventually comes to the surface because they've given themselves permission to feel it. Which is why men especially notoriously are so up and down when it comes to their emotions after drinking, drugs, coming down, all this sort of stuff.
And then so for the blokes out there who are like us and who maybe, we don't struggle with emotions now, but before it used to be a big problem. So then what the fuck is the purpose of this sadness and this anger? Like, what's going on?
What do you mean?
As in, like, the bloke is listening to this right now and he's hearing everything that you're saying. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, why am I so angry? Or why am I so sad?
Well, why am I feeling so angry? Why am I feeling so sad? The reason you're probably feeling that right now is because you haven't been given a way to actually deal with those emotions. You haven't been given a way to understand what they are. Because anger, the only reason we feel angry is because it's I like to think of it as a secondary emotion. We hold on to anger because we don't feel safe enough to actually express ourselves for sadness or frustration or whatever it might be. And so to understand what an emotion is, it's just a natural part of the human experience. And the more that you try and avoid it, the more it wants to keep coming up for you. Whereas when you allow yourself to actually sit with these things, when you allow yourself to actually be present in your own company and allow yourself to process, that's when life gets good. Because the thing is, there's an inverse relationship between all emotions. So sadness, anger, frustration, unless you're able to express and feel those in a healthy way, you're never going to be able to experience the depths of happiness, joy, love, all these sorts of things. So there's an inverse relationship between all, and so there's neither good nor bad, they just are.
And so run me through, what were the emotions you were feeling when all this bullshit was happening?
I couldn't tell you. I was numb. I didn't feel anything. There's no emotion that I felt at all. The only thing I felt was, where can I get more of this and how can I make more money?
So when did you start to feel? How did you learn to feel?
I think jail probably would have been the biggest part there, because it was the longest period of sobriety that I had. And I started to feel my, I guess, innate emotions that I'd been taught as a kid, which were anxiety, sadness. I wouldn't say depression. Depression is not a word I want to use. There was a lot of feelings of not good enough. And that was what I was suppressing and repressing for a very, very long time whilst I was using drugs. So within jail, that was what I was feeling. And once again, you're forced to be in an environment where it's just you. Spent a lot of time alone at night, spent a lot of time thinking, spent a lot of time sitting with my own shit. And then as soon as I got back out to the big bad world, ran away again, right? Ran away because I was forced into that sobriety.
Yeah.
See, even though I went to jail 6 times, and the last time that I got out, I still got straight back on the drugs because it was the environment, it was the life that I'd chosen. I didn't see myself as anything other than a drug dealer. My whole identity was tied up in that world, you know, because it had given me all the things that I didn't have as a child and allowed me to feel like I was somebody, right? So once again, as soon as I exited the scenario where I had that all taken away, I went straight back to what I'd always done. And, you know, it was one of those things where even when I finally got away from the ice and the crystal meth and all that sort of stuff, I still was in complete avoidance of myself. And I just, you know, changed the flavor. So I went from smoking ice when I got out of jail, I went from smoking ice all the time to snorting cocaine because it's more acceptable, right? Especially being on the Gold Coast as a personal trainer.
Being an Aussie, fucking hell.
Yeah, that's right. Rip into a packet and a couple of beers with the boys.
Fuck, you're a bag gun, bro.
That's what makes you the man, right? That's what makes you the man. Once again, it's just pure avoidance.
Isn't that funny? The reputation around something like meth and then the reputation around something like cocaine.
It is. Why they're different? They're exactly the same thing. They're just a quicker way to avoid yourself. You know, I think that meth's just given a bad rap because of what it does to people. It literally just sucks your soul out of your body. Whereas cocaine, it's like you can come back from that, and it's a bit harder to get addicted to cocaine. You know, they say that 5% of people that smoke meth will ever stop. 5%. 5% that they ever start, or even if you do it a couple of times, it's about 5% that will ever completely stop and never use it again. So, whereas cocaine, it's like, you know, yes, it can become addictive just like anything else, but it's not the drug that's addictive. It's never the drug that's addictive. It's the feeling or the thing that you're running away from. Yeah, because drugs and alcohol are never the problem. It's the avoidance itself.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, addiction never comes to the substance. It's the addictiveness of feeling what you haven't always felt, or not feeling what you didn't want to feel. You know, because a drug addiction only comes from a need to feel better or a need to feel less bad. Right? So it's one of those two things. As simple as that.
100%, man. Like when you know, I remember back to a call with one of my mentors last year, and I was real hard on myself for smoking weed. Like it was a big deal because I would always say that it's not the weed, it's me. But then I would get caught in that. And then we were having a conversation, and he's like, "Bro, there's a reason you're doing it. Like it's given you something." That's and right. I'm like, "What?" It's the first time anyone ever like said it to me like that. He pretty much said it was okay in the sense that like there's you're getting something from it, bro. Like you're not just doing it. Yeah,
secondary payoff, man. There's always a reason for something. So, for instance, even if it's drinking, right? The drinking, a lot of the time for the men that I work with, is so they don't have to sit in their own head and don't have to think about the things that they've done in the past or whatever it might be. There's a secondary payoff to everything. You know, everything that we do, there's a reason behind it. It's not that we can't stop drinking and there's no reason behind it. There's something there that most people aren't willing to look at.
So then when did you start to feel, and obviously you did it in jail, that was more unconsciously, it was forced upon you. Consciously, when did you start to explore this stuff? Was there a moment that you vividly remember?
Yeah. So it wasn't a conscious thought to actually start exploring feeling, but it was a conscious thought to stop being a piece of shit and start being a better father and try and have better relationships. And that was 2nd of January 2022. Yeah, 2nd of January 2022. I woke up on the 2nd of January with a black eye from punching on with my housemate. I crashed my brand new Navara into the front fence of my house, drink driving. Made an absolute cock of myself at probably the nicest house I'd ever been at, and a house party the night before. And this wasn't an isolated experience. This is something that was happening most weekends. Most weekends, I'd wake up on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whenever it was that I finally pulled my shit together. And I'd just be full of shame, guilt, sadness, just frustration of why does this keep happening? And then I realized as well that at this point in time, yeah, it would have been 4 years ago. At this point in time, I also had a 4-year-old son who was growing up without a present father. And so that was a big thing for me because I promised myself that I'd never be anything like my father. Yet at this point in time when he was 4, I'd become a lot worse. You know, at least my father was present to some degree. At least he was actually physically there. You know, I wasn't at all. I was seeing my son maybe one day out of a fortnight. And during that time, I'd be on my phone swiping on Tinder, or I'd be coming down from a hangover or a big night on the gear, or whatever it might have been. And the thing is, I knew that I had to really look myself in the mirror and take responsibility for what I was creating, because the life that I had was my doing. It was that moment of full ownership, understanding that where I was at that point in time, looking in the mirror on the 2nd of January at about 11 o'clock in the morning or something like that, looking at myself and just disgusted. I knew that I put myself there. Doesn't matter what happened prior to that. It doesn't matter who had done anything or what had happened in my life. It was the fact that I made the choices, the decisions, and took the actions that put me in that position right at that very point in time. And it was from that moment that I took full ownership of my life and really started to acknowledge that there's these things inside me that I need to actually express and get out and move around, because if I don't, I'm going to continue to be reactive and I'll be like a ticking time bomb like I have been for so long. And so it was 4 years ago, bro, really, when I started to, like, I've been doing a bit of this work that I do now, like here and there, been to a couple of seminars, worked with a few mentors, but hadn't really taken it seriously. You know, and it was at that point where I really just decided that enough was enough and I needed to actually make a change.
Oh, so you explored some stuff, but you were still like, you have a sort of a peak and then you just go back to old Benny.
Yeah,
and then it was this moment where you're like, nah, this is enough. I'm not doing this anymore. And then, so you stopped drinking straight away, or
that day I made the decision to stop drinking, stop taking drugs. And to be fair, that's 4 years ago. I've been completely sober now 3 years.
Not had a drop of alcohol
for 3 years now.
Right on.
Yeah. So
that's no actually doobies, no nothing.
That's actually a lie. Okay. Every now and then I have to have a sip when I'm doing content, and it's fucking putrid. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. But apart from that, no, I don't drink at all. Don't drink, don't take drugs, don't use anything.
Not even doobies?
No.
No tobacco?
No.
Right.
No.
Since that day?
Since that day, I can count on one hand the amount of times that I've used drugs.
Yeah.
And one of those times, actually it would have been 5 years ago. 5 years ago is when I made the decision.
In 21.
3 years ago is when I made the decision to get completely sober, and I haven't touched drugs and alcohol since then.
Yeah, gotcha.
So there was a 2 year period there, and in that 2 years, I can count on one hand the amount of times that I used drugs or anything like that. Because, see, the thing is for me, like I knew that there was something deeper underlying that I needed to address, and that was the reason I was using drugs. I had that innate intelligence. I had that understanding. I've been listening to a lot of like Tony Robbins podcasts, listening to a lot of stuff with Joe Dispenza, listening to a lot of these sorts of things, right? And I just absorbed as much of that information as I possibly could. And I knew that if I wanted to change my life, I had to do it. It doesn't matter about AA, NA, psychology, counseling. I tried all those fucking things and I got nowhere. I felt more depressed, and I felt like I was in a worse spot after talking to those people.
Yeah.
Going to psychology and counseling, 99% of the time I felt like I was being judged. Yeah. Because when I was telling them my story, hey, I had a 410 shotgun put down my throat last week over 20 grand cash by my ex-partner's, ex-partner, they're like, well, that's too much. I can't deal with this. Or, hey, I overdosed twice last week on, GHB. They're like, you're fucked. You need to go to rehab. I went to these people that we're meant to be seeking help from, and I'm trying to express what's going on, and they're pretty much telling me I'm a piece of shit. Or even if they're not saying that in as many words,
that's how you feel.
They're projecting that in the way that they're showing up. Have you tried just not taking the drugs, sir? Have you maybe just thought about breathing?
Have you just stop?
Yeah, just like, have you thought about it? And the thing is, it is as simple as that when you understand it and you have a why big enough, right? Because you can just stop if the why's big enough. But a lot of the time, the unfortunate thing is, especially with a lot of men that I work with, is they have to really drive themselves into rock bottom. And rock bottom is different for everyone. Yeah. Before they actually make that change, because the pain of change has got to be less than the pain of staying the same. And for a lot of men, their identity is so tied up in that toxic culture and that environment that they've been in for so long that to change, it would mean they have to completely reinvent their identity, which is what I had to do. I went from 5 a.m. spinning plates in a fucking microwave to 5 a.m. run clubs. And I made that choice straight away, but I had to leave behind everything and everyone that I knew. And it was the hardest thing I ever did. It was the hardest thing I ever did. But making that choice was also the best thing that I ever did, because it really showed me what I was capable of. Not too long after I made the decision to get sober, I was going to festivals sober with friends of mine who were still off their fucking tree, absolutely off their cunts. And I'd be like designated driver, and I'd still party with them until 2 o'clock in the morning and then get up the next morning and go for a run. The day that I made the decision to stop drinking, which is the first time, once again, there was a 2 year period there where I had 5 episodes. I'd call it 5 episodes where they're like, a couple of big benders. One of those was a 5-week bender in Europe, so that counts as one, right? Because I didn't stop the entire time, right? But I got it out of the system. And then another time was like a birthday of mine. We did like a pub crawl from Palmy. It was from Currumbin, sorry. up to Surfers Paradise. Everyone dressed as Disney characters on those line bikes.
Yeah, that's gangster.
It was off its head, bro. It was the best. It was great. But the thing is, I also know that now for me, that doesn't serve me. That doesn't serve who I am or the man that I am.
For sure.
You know, and there was that 2-year period where I was dabbling. You know, I was putting one foot in, taking one foot out, putting one foot in, taking one foot out. But I knew that if I continued to do that, I would not be able to show up. I would not be able to show up as the man that I wanted to be. And that was really important to me, was to be the man that I said I was. So yeah, when I made that choice 3 years ago to completely stop altogether, I haven't looked back. It's just one of those things that I doesn't identify with who I am anymore. I don't identify with that any longer.
Do you, what did you do to release these emotions and to process them?
I did all the things, bro. Did breath work. I started training really hard. I started boxing. I started running. I tried to do all the things, right?
What was the most effective?
Ayahuasca.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ayahuasca. Plant medicine. No. Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah, so sitting plant medicine was probably the most profound thing that I did.
Yeah.
However, that being said, if I hadn't done all the other stuff and all the other work beforehand, I don't think my brain would have been prepared to allow myself to actually release the things.
Yeah, bro.
You know, because it's not something that should be taken lighthearted.
Fuck no, it's not a joke. Mushrooms aren't a joke, let alone ayahuasca.
Yeah, that's right. So that was probably the biggest thing, man. That's been a big part of my journey. And it was really just about understanding that we've got to have unconditional acceptance of who we are. You know, that was the biggest lesson that I took from that. And it was understanding that everything that we feel is there for a reason. You know, it's a signal of some kind. It's letting us know that there might be something that needs to change in our life, that there's something that doesn't align with who we are at our core level, whatever it might be. These emotions are almost signals. They're signals to allow us to understand, do more of this, do less of that. Hey, you don't like that. Why are you still doing that shit, man? You know, and it really is just a guide to life. Like, do these things, you will be happy. Do these things, you'll be sad, depressed, fucking probably end up in broken relationships and end up the same as your parents or whatever it might be. Right? It's very simple. It's a matter of
basic mathematics.
It's choice, right? It's very, very simple when you put it like that. However, making those decisions a lot of the time is probably the hardest things that anyone will ever do. You know, and sometimes those hard choices are the things that need to be done. Not sometimes, most of the time, the hard choices are the things that need to be done. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's hard. But on the other side, that discomfort and that challenging situation generally is where the best things in life happen. You know, it's the cliche old saying, right? When one door closes, 100 more open. A lot of the time we're so resistant to closing the door because it's nice and warm and comfortable in that door, right? And as soon as you close that door, all of a sudden the world opens up.
100%. 100%. What I want to talk more about the releasing stuff. What sort of breath work did you do?
So did a little bit of stuff with like holotropic breath. Did a little bit of stuff, obviously, with guys like Could Be Conscious. I think Ryan's a mate of yours.
Yeah.
I went to a couple of their events.
A couple of weeks ago.
I saw that. It's cool, man. Yeah, so I did a bit of stuff with them. None of their big events or anything, just their little beach events and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was cool, man. Like that was probably the first time I actually allowed myself to feel completely and just experience myself as I was.
Wow.
Did a lot of energy work, like Reiki, things like that. Worked with some energy healers in moving the energy around the body.
Yeah, right. What were they? Reiki healers or something?
Yeah, Reiki healers. Another girl that I know. I don't know what you call her. She's just an energy healer, man. Yeah, she does like some fucking real trippy shit.
I went there. She sorted me out. I'm fucking laughing.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, man. Like the thing is though, like I wasn't very receptive to it at that point in time.
Yeah, right.
I was just doing the thing because I thought it was what I needed to do.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I really found things like plant medicine and things like even the modalities that I use, very simple things like journaling. Yeah. You know, being able to have releases of anger, whatever that looks like, you know. So I run a retreat, next one's in March in Bali with a heap of lads, and we do like anger release where we like literally just, we fight as men, we release that anger. We, you know, smash things with a baseball bat, you know, we scream, we get all these emotions out of the body, because when it comes to energy release, it has to be moved. Energy is an emotion in the body. Emotions are an energy in the body that need to be moved through the body. And so whether that looks like, you know, going for a run, whether that looks like just sitting with yourself and crying, whether that looks like, you know, expressing through laughter, you know, it's how we express happiness. That's an energy as well. All these things you got to find your way. So for me, it was just about finding what worked for me. And so I started fighting, boxing, and I got what I wanted and what I needed out of that. That was a really, really good release of a lot of anger that I had built up as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just, there's no linear journey for that, right? For when it comes to the emotional side of things. It was more so just finding my range and really just allowing myself to experience everything. I think was probably the biggest thing there, was trying it all and seeing what worked.
And your favourites, just to sum it up, favourites were boxing by the sounds of it. That was a big one.
Man, just anything when it comes to challenging myself, you know, so running, boxing, like I said as well. Another one that I love is ayahuasca, you know, sitting plant medicine. I've sat 6 times. Yeah, well, 3 sittings, 2 servings every time.
What does that mean?
So
like have you space for people?
No. So
she hasn't called my name yet, so I don't know.
3 sittings, right? And each one of those sittings, you drink a Friday and then you drink a Saturday night. Right. So you have 2 ceremonies each time. So technically it's 6, but really it's only 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about mushies, or did you do any MD
therapy?
Man,
like look, mushies weren't really on my radar. Then I was using them more for recreational purposes as opposed to actually like medicinal, if you like. So that wasn't really on my radar for that. Yeah, as far as it goes for hallucinogenics, ayahuasca's been the one thing that I have gone into with intention of actually releasing and working through things, and that's something that's been very, very powerful for myself. Yeah,
sweet. Anything else you want to say about that whole world, or any final words for the releasing and the get in touch with emotions before we crack on?
Not really, man. I think at the end of the day, the quicker that men and women as well can realize that emotions aren't evil, they're not a bad thing, they don't make you weak.
They're not trying to hurt you.
There is nothing more attractive than a healthy masculine who can express himself. Now, that doesn't mean being fucking blobbering and pouring your heart out and shit. Like, there's a place for that, yeah. But it means being able to understand your emotional range, number one, and understanding what you need in that moment to either remove yourself, respond, and deal with things in a healthier manner. Because anger is a very, very low vibrational emotion. It's something that we do because we don't feel safe enough to express sadness. We don't feel safe enough to express what's actually going on for us. And so for us as men, we just smash things. You know, back to the day of the caveman, men smash. You know, like it's just it's the easiest way to deal with a problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's typical avoidance. When it comes down to it, it's us not wanting to actually address the issue at hand. So we get angry, we fucking run away, and we go and drink with the boys, and I feel better all of a sudden because you just repressed it, but it's still there.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, so when it comes to releasing, it's just really finding your thing, finding that edge for yourself, and being confident, comfortable, and secure enough within yourself to be able to express what's actually happening. That's true masculinity, I believe.
This is what we need the boys for, and I'm talking about the real boys, not the ones that you're
boys
escaping with. Well, this is why I say the boys, because it's an Aussie word, you know, it's like the fucking boys.
I've moved away from that phrase because it's exactly that. I'm going to go hang out with the boys. And, you know, it usually means drinking, taking drugs, all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Which is like very much, it's boyish behavior, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. We need men. We need men, bro. As simple as that. Men need men.
Yeah, of course.
It's very simply put, right? You know, it's men's medicine, right?
Yeah.
Men are medicine for men. Yeah. Because there is no other way for us to be able to express and feel safe enough to talk about what we're actually going through and what's coming up for us, unless it's with a safe man.
Brilliant segue to one of my favorite topics, because this is something that I used to deeply struggle with, and still to this day sometimes. But it's, what do you take to the men, to your group of men, and what do you take to the missus?
I love this question. It depends. I honestly think it's completely irrelevant and contextual, right? I think that as far as it goes to taking things to the men, first of all, you can't take everything to everyone. You know, you've got to understand who your men are, who your people are. So look, I have like three lads that I talk to about everything. And even then, I will sit with myself a lot of the time first before I do that. But I will let these people know that, hey, I'm struggling, boys. Just letting you know that's what I'm going through at the moment. the things that I would take to my partner would be need to know. Need to know. For me, it's a little bit different. Me and my partner are in business together. So a lot of things are need to know because we both need to know how things are trending. But as far as it goes for my internal workings, if I'm struggling with something when it comes to identity, if I'm struggling with something when it comes to my own self-worth, if I'm struggling with something when it comes to the way that I see myself as a father, a partner, or a leader, I'll take that to the men. When it comes to not trivial stuff, but when it comes to things that are completely relevant to the relationship, I'll bring that up with my partner. When it comes to things that are completely relevant to the business, I'll bring that up with my partner, once again, depending on where I'm at and whether I've sat with that. But I think that you got to understand what things you can bring to a partner without making her feel unsafe and like you haven't got it together, and what things you can take to the men, because a lot of the time we need to have that ability to soundboard. We need to have that ability to talk about things, right? And there's certain things that a lot of men will do and say that'll make their partner feel unsafe, which does the polar opposite of what they're trying to do, and then wonder why their partner pulls away.
Yeah.
Because there's things that some women won't be able to hold, and especially if there's a woman that's been through trauma in the past, as soon as something's triggered for her, she's going to go and shut down. So you got to have those men that you can go to with absolutely fucking anything, and keep out the finer details when it comes to your partner, depending on the situation.
I love the way that you worded that, bro, because it's so fucking true, and men need to hear this, bro. They need to hear this, because when we talk about basic mathematics, right? You got the boys, and I'm talking about the boys here, the boys, and everyone's on the beers, everyone's on the fucking drugs, bags, whatever. It's like, that's basic mathematics. You know what's going to happen. And then what I've observed in my own life, in my own relationships, it's like when I've taken stuff to my partner, some stuff that she just can't hold.
That's right.
And it took me a long time to understand that concept, to understand that you can't take everything to them. They're not your everything. Like, you need to have a group of fucking men that you can take shit to.
100%. That being said, though, I think that it also comes down to the emotional capacity and ability of your partner.
Yes.
For what you can bring to her. So it's very contextual, right? Like I said to you, man, for me personally, there are things that I wouldn't take to my partner, but at the same time, most things I would. There's things that I don't need to worry her about, because the last thing I want her to do is be stressed about something where it maybe, it comes down to something that might be happening in my life that's, not going to affect her. But sometimes I might just need some feedback from one of the boys.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is disturb her peace, because she's got a household to run. She's got she's got 3 kids to look after, as well as also myself. But she's also in my business as well, so she's wearing all the hats as it is. So it's about really understanding the dynamic of, first of all, your relationship and the capacity of your partner. I think to understand what you can take to them and what you can take to the boys. I mean, if you've got a super emotionally grounded woman who's very, very emotionally aware, done a lot of work on herself, has worked through her triggers, her traumas, and all that sort of stuff, you'll probably be able to take most things to her, because she's going to sit there and go, cool, what do you need? As opposed to, well, fuck, I didn't know I made you feel that way, and get triggered. Like, calm down, Susan. All right? Calm down. It wasn't about you. This is about me.
That's right.
Yeah.
Talk to me about duty as a man.
Duty as a man?
Yeah.
Well, I think as far as it goes, men have got this really mixed up, because they think that their only duty is to provide. That they go to do their 9-to-5 job, and that then gives them the ability to do whatever the fuck they want outside of that, which is a crock of shit. A lot of men have kids, they have partners, and they're really not showing up. Our duty as a man is to create safety within the household. We, as a masculine, we are leaders. Okay, we are the alpha, if you like, in the household. We're meant to be anyway, and that means that the rest of the household pretty much runs off our energy. If we're unregulated, if we're chaotic, if we're unstable, it's going to be a reflection in the household as well. Your kids are going to be unstable. Your kids are going to be unsettled. Your kids are going to be all over the shop. Your partner is going to feel unsettled and unsafe. And once again, it's our duty to create safety within the household. What does that look like? It looks like being a fucking man of your word. It looks like being a man of integrity. It looks like doing the things that you say you're going to do, following through, being a man of value, right? What that looks like is providing. Yes, that's a small part of it. but also emotional, physically, and mentally for your partners, not just financially. I think this could be a podcast in itself. This really could, because like, what is the role of a man or a masculine in the relationship or in a household? Well, our role is to really be not just within the household, but the backbone of society, to be that pillar, to protect, to lead, and to say, hey, like, I've got us. I've got us. Because if you're unable to show up in that way, your partner will then assume the role of the masculine, and this will then mean that your relationship will probably feel like it's very polarizing. You might get emasculated or demasculated, I should say, and then your partner will feel like she has to step up as the man in the household. And we see this in a lot of fly in, fly out families, because obviously the man's not in the house. He's away 7-8 weeks of the day, or 7-8 days of the month. Or so, let's say, like, 2 and 2 swings, something like that. He's away for 2 weeks. His partner then has to assume the role of dad, which means that when he comes back to the household all the time, those kids will be unsettled and won't see him as the masculine leader. So it's our role as men to be just as present as women, if not even more present, whilst also trying to provide, whilst also trying to do everything else.
So how the fuck do men do it then?
I think it comes down to, when you say, actually, let me ask this question again. So when you say how do men do it, how do men do what specifically?
How do they hold the fort down? How do they support their partner? How do they support themselves? How do they fucking...
Well, that's what it comes back to. First of all, supporting themselves. If you jump on an airplane, and they talk about the emergency masks, if the plane's going to crash, what do they tell you to do?
You gotta put yours on first.
Right. They don't tell you to put it on the women or the children.
Yeah.
Yet so many fucking men get stuck trying to do absolutely everything for their partners, everything for their kids. They lose themselves in the process, become resentful. And a lot of times this might be where the drinking, the drugs, the escape comes from. You gotta look after yourself first in a healthy way, that is. You've got to get your own needs met before you try and meet the needs of other people. And so how do men do it? Well, first of all, understanding what your needs are. Understanding where you're maybe not getting variety in your life, where you might not be having certainty, where you might not have, the connection that you need from other people, whatever it might be, and meeting those needs. So then you're not looking for those needs to get met from other things, other people, or chaotic ways. I guess it's really just understanding who you are as a man is the way that you hold that. Because you know where your capacity is, when you're getting close to that edge, and then you know what you need to do, where you need to pull back, like I was talking about at the beginning of this with the spinning plates. How much can you withhold before you break? Because when you break, that generally means that you are shutting down as a man, right? Shutting down, withdrawing, not showing up, not being present, and doing all the things we're speaking about that make a woman feel unsafe.
Benny, you beast, mate. Honestly, I'm loving this chat. I'm really loving this chat because you're speaking from experience. So many cunts out there are parrots. Read something, try and tell people about it. You've lived it, bro. I feel that. I feel the fucking conviction inside of you, and I appreciate you being able to hold this space and share their stories, bro.
Thank you.
How do I know you're still human? How do I know you're still human? When was the last time you got triggered? What are you working through at the moment?
Oh, bro. Funny you asked. All I'm going to say is blended families are challenging. Yeah, blended families are challenging, bro. I get triggered every single fucking day. Every single fucking day. But the thing is that now I'm aware of what's coming up and what I need to do to show up differently. And I'm able to address the pattern before it becomes a pattern. Or address the trigger before it becomes a pattern, I should say. So I've got my son, my partner has her 2 kids. We're a family, we are one, right? We don't treat it as if it's separate or anything like that. However, we also have outside influences from both other parents. And we obviously do things a certain way here. They do a certain way there, they do a certain way there. So we've got 3 people, 3 different sets of rules, then trying to all come into one. That's challenging, bro. There's a lot of pushback. My partner's kids have been through their fair share of trauma with her past and that sort of stuff. And so her kids a lot of the time are trying to test to see if I'm safe. And what does testing look like? The same as it does from your woman. Your woman will constantly test you to see if you're a safe man. What does that look like? It looks like lashing out, trying to do something to, sabotage a relationship, whatever it might be. That's what a woman who is still working through her own shit does, right? And this is what kids do. Kids will bait you. They will push you. They will tell you they fucking hate your guts. They will tell you not to get close to them. And then next minute, they want to sit on your lap and be all lovey-dovey. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to test to see if you're a safe man or whether you're not. And this is where so many men break, especially when it comes to blended families, is they can't withstand the tests, so they don't get to the reward. And the reward is having that happiness, having that unity in the family. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that's an ongoing journey. And this is something that I think, well, me and my partner we're only about, I think, 16, 17 months into our relationship, right? We're very, very fresh still. From about 6 months in, 7 months in, our kids were coming together. And as soon as we actually moved in together about 7 months ago, that's when things started to turn, because the kids were really starting to see that I wasn't going anywhere. And they're like, well, let's just see how much we can push, because in their head, they're trying to confirm the belief that men are unsafe. And the only time that they've had safety is with their mum and their dad together, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
So that'd be the thing that is, I guess, the biggest challenge I'm working through at the moment. And then you add on top of that business, and then you add on top of that everything else, bro. It's just life. Like, people seem to think that problems in life are a bug. I heard this on a Chris Williamson podcast, Modern History. What's it called? Modern Wisdom, sorry. And I can't remember who he was talking to, but no, it was Chris Williamson and Stephen Bartlett.
Oh.
Right? So Diary of a CEO. And he speaks about it. He's like, everyone seems to treat problems in life like they're a bug, not a feature. And that sat with me. That really sat with me. Like, we don't get given challenges that we can't face.
That's right.
And I really, truly believe that every time we're given something to hold, it's because we're about to get to the next level.
Yeah.
You know? And so the way that I talk to all the men that I work with around this, because a lot of the guys I work with are struggling with self-sabotage through drugs and alcohol, which has ruined their relationships, stopped them from being present with their kids. Pretty much my story, right? A lot of the time, not as in-depth down the drug side of things, but maybe it's sabotaging their business, stopping them from showing up the way they want to show up, whatever it might be. And as soon as they make that decision to make the change and become better, I say, careful now, because if you're making that commitment, the universe will test you. She will throw every single thing she can at you, every curveball possible, to test to see if you're 100% serious, or whether you just kind of fold like you have every other time. But when you don't fold and you keep saying yes to yourself and keep saying no to the things that are keeping you stuck, you get to leave that old identity behind and level the fuck up. And that's what problems in life are. They're just they're another thing for us to adapt to and grow from. You know, have you read the book, what's it called, Green Light? Matthew McConaughey?
No.
Highly recommend. Even just the audio book, you could listen to that motherfucker's voice on repeat.
Yeah, right.
Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah,
Yeah, bro.
Oh, Western.
Bro. All right. Right? So anyways, he says it in his book, he says it best, right? And, you know, we don't stop stepping in shit. We just get better at scraping it off our shoes.
You say it like him.
I don't know how to say it like him. Go on. How would you say it? Go on. All right. So you don't just stop stepping in shit. You just get better at scraping it off your shoes. That was terrible, wasn't it?
Yay-ho.
But yeah, this is the thing, right?
Yeah,
We're always going to have problems. We're always going to have things in life. And if you stop looking at them as problems and start looking at them as challenges, life gets so much better.
Bro, I love that. I fucking love that, because that's it. That's literally it. I'll look at life as a game. This is how I talk about with my clients. It's like, life is a game, bro. And in the same way that you start GTA, that the map is really small and you got to do missions to level up your character, get more cash, get more access, But it's all by design. And it's the same fucking thing.
That is the game of life right there.
Yeah. We are given the challenges because this is what must be done to be forged into the man we are becoming. There's nothing more, nothing less. Simple as that. I fucking love it. I love it. We're gearing towards the end. And so 2 things that I want to finish on. The last question I'm going to give you, I want your subconscious to cook on it, because I know you're a fucking character, is how do you have fun, and what's something funny you can tell me? It's that broad. It's literally that broad. Funny story, whatever, something that makes you laugh. And then before that, I want you to tell me about your why. Why the fuck do you do what you do, bro? Why do you spin all these plates? Why do you say, like, work with so many blokes? Why, bro?
Because when I was going through addiction, when I was going through the challenges that I was having, when I was going through trying to be a better father, trying to be a better partner, trying to be a good leader, I didn't have me. That's my why. because when I was going through that, I felt like there was no one that I could relate to that knew my story, that could really understand me from where I was. And I didn't have hope. I had to create that for myself. I worked with different mentors around different things, but I became my own inspiration. And I've made it my life's work to now do that for others, because I had zero relationship with my son. My partners, at one point there I was dating strippers. Right, I was also a male stripper at the time, so it sort of goes hand in hand, right?
Fuck, I wish I knew you in that era.
But you know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. Like, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. I was just in avoidance. You know, I was a very, very broken man, dating very, very broken women. And I didn't have a way out. I didn't have anyone that was there to go, hey, here's everything that you need to know. Here's all the things that are going to actually help you to become that father, become that leader, and become that man that you want to be. And I know that whatever I've done over the last 10 years has worked, because I've got the life that I've always dreamt of. And I continue to show up for that every single day. And so the thing is, if I can do that, why can't anyone else? And so the reason that I do what I do is to become that beacon of light for those other men that are going through the same. You know, the kinds of men, and this is originally what it was the kinds of men that no one else would touch. Men that have been in prison, men that have been, you know, in and out of, you know, rehabilitation centers, all these sorts of men that they feel hopeless, right? And now it's just really become more broad to help all men to become better fathers, partners, and leaders through words of wisdom and lived experience. So I guess that's my why, bro, is to be the man that I needed in my life.
What's the vision?
The vision? Global impact, bro. I want to have the new age man, and just a new little venture. My partner and I also, my partner's just started working with women, because we understand that the men don't just impact the men impact the whole family. And a lot of the time that leaves a lot of women broken as well, because they haven't got someone there to hold their hand like I'm doing for the men. And they feel like they're getting left behind. This is something that I see a lot of the time with the conversations I'm having. Is a lot of the time that's like, I'm doing all this work, but she's still stuck in the old her. Like, she's still stuck being traumatized by my face every single fucking day because I triggered her for so fucking many years. Whereas now we're working with the couples to help them to both grow together. So the goal and the vision is impact, bro. To change the lives of as many people as we can. To directly impact. You know, I got the numbers on this the other day. It was like, I eventually see our coaching model, which is ever adapting and ever evolving, having coaches all around the world, where we're working with, let's say, you know, I cap myself at 50. I don't want to work with any more than 50 people at a time, because I just don't want to dilute my product, and I don't want to dilute the message of what I'm doing. So that being said, that really caps me and means that I can only work with a certain amount of people. But if we had 10 coaches, 20 coaches, 30 coaches around the world working with, you know, 50 people, if it's a 3 to 6 month program, let's say if there's 20 coaches, 50 people every 3 months is what?
10,000.
Something like that, right? So 10,000 people, and how many quarters in the year? 4. So there's 40,000 people. 40,000 people a year. Now work out the ripple effect that would have on people around them. That's the impact I want to have. Unfathomable impact to millions of people around the world, because I know that just through me working with the men that I work with, it impacts their partners, their kids, their co-workers, their employees, their family members, absolutely everyone around them. Because whether we like it or not, we have a ripple effect, positive or negative, on every single person we come into contact with. So my goal is to change the life of just one man to impact the lives of many, and do that on a global scale.
Give me a few mentors online that you've never met, and then in person that you've met.
Tony Robbins, the GOAT.
The GOAT.
That's funny, right? I saw this thing the other day about, it's like ripping him down, saying, oh, like, are we not woke enough in 2026 to not be repulsed by, you know, a free event of 4 hours of NLP brainwashing gizmos and blah, blah, blah. Literally ripping him down. It's like, this dude has literally fucking impacted millions, billions of lives, worked with the biggest fucking names in the world. Like, I'm talking like Obama and like, what's his face? President Bush and like these guys, right? He's worked with, there's got to be some merit to that. There's got to be some merit to that. So he is the GOAT, greatest of all time, someone that I aspire to be more like.
Yeah.
someone that I really look up to and am obviously being mentored on from afar. You know, people like that just put their information out there and spread their message. People like myself, when I was in the darkest of days, grabbed onto that, and it really changed my life. There was a video that I watched every day for 2 years. Every morning, it was a 15-minute video. It was talking about understanding that we choose our life, right? When we're not getting our needs for certainty, variety, significance, love, connection, growth, and contribution met, we will look to get those needs met in chaotic ways, which is where a lot of self-sabotage and those sorts of patterns come from. Mm-hmm. So I learned to get my needs met for myself. There's one. Who else? I'm probably the worst person to ask this, eh? I'm probably the worst person to ask this because I don't spend a lot of time following trends or latching onto the internet. I spend so much time in the business on, Instagram and things like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about like to get you to this point. Obviously, Tony Robbins was a big one.
To get me to this point?
Anything. Anything that comes to mind.
Yeah. I guess a really good book, The Way of the Superior Man.
I love that book,
David Dieter.
That's my Bible.
Yeah, that's a great book. That really helped me. How to Do the Work, Nicole LePera. I think for me, it was that side of things it was a lot of reading, a lot of just digesting as much knowledge as possible. Jay Shetty, listening to a lot of his podcasts. Who else?
That's not a deep brain. Anyone that comes to mind?
The man himself, Morgan Nelson. He was a massive mentor of mine as well.
Morgan T.
Yeah, he's really helped me in the last 12 months to really see how small I was playing it. Two people that don't even know it, James and Yasmin. They're like #1 YouTubers in the world at the moment. We hung out with them in Fiji, and they really planted a seed for me to see how small we'd been playing it as well. They're like just on a whole nother level. So hanging out with people like that is very, very cool. Mm-hmm. But like for me, I think every interaction I have, I try and take something from, whether it be something I want to do more of, something I don't want to do, something I want to be less like, something I want to be more like. So I like to be of the belief that absolutely everyone has something to teach me. And so I can't really just coin it down to a few people. It's really hard because every experience I've had, ex-partners have taught me things that...
Oh, bro, they're the best teachers.
Relationships are the best mirrors, bro.
Fuck yeah.
It's all well and good to be fucking healed and fucking when you're single.
Some can't say they're healed. They're fucking wrong, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
They're missing something.
Yeah, you obviously haven't got a relationship, bro. And this is the thing, right? Like, even still, you can have the healthiest and happiest relationship. You're always going to have things come up. It's the nature of the beast. It's life. Mm-mm. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, bro. Fucking hope it does. Righto. What do you do for fun?
Jump out of planes.
Oh shit, yeah. That's how we met.
That is, we're talking about that. That was a funny story.
That's how we met, bro. We did this exercise, and anyway, we're talking about communication, right? And body language is the biggest form of communication, makes up 55%, tone of voice is 37%, and then the 8% for words. And we did this exercise where we both got given different directions, and then we're talking to each other. And my direction was to listen to Benny's story, and then when the click happens,
when there was a signal,
when there was a signal, then to just fucking ignore it completely.
Just break rapport.
And then what was yours? To tell a hectic story.
My story and just don't let you not listen to what I'm saying.
And so here is, bro, straight away we get on. Like, it's like we've been fucking best mates in a previous life.
It was hilarious, bro. And as soon as you did it too, I felt the energy.
Yeah.
I was like, and there was a part of you were like,
I hated it.
I fucking don't want to do this, man. You're a good gun. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, well, fuck you, man. Listen to my story. It was interesting. That was interesting, hey?
That's cracker.
But that was cool just to really demonstrate how little words actually mean.
And your kids and your partner feel it, bro, because you say, I'm fine. Bullshit, cunt.
Yeah, that's right. That's a really good point, man. That's a really good point. Energy is everything. Everyone can feel it. Everyone else can feel it, whether you think you're fucking hiding it or not. Back to what I was saying about being the man of the household, your responsibility is to hold it together and make sure you're grounded and make sure that you're stable, because every single fucking person in your house will feel it. When I'm having an off day, I'll be like, fucking, why have you been so short with me? Charlie's like, I'm not being short. You're fucking completely withdrawn. What's going on with you? It's like, fair. Fair. So that's why it's so important for us as men to do this work and to be regulated and to stop running. But yeah, for fun, bro, I do cool shit like that.
Yeah.
I love adventure. I love jumping out of planes. I love anything that gets my heart going, anything that's a challenge, anything that I never thought I would be able to do, I want to do it. All the things.
And what's a funny story?
Funny story.
Let's leave us with a funny story.
A funny story. So.
Oh, here we go.
Should I tell that one?
Yeah.
Nah.
I know if you should.
Nah, I should. I'll tell that story. Fuck it. When I was a kid, right? So I used to play RuneScape when I was a kid. You know what RuneScape is? Yeah. And so I was so like encaptivated, and I've never told this story before. This is fucking so weird. I was so encaptivated in this, like, in the what's it called? The wilderness. We're doing a raid, and like, you know, it was going down. I needed to piss that bad, bro. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, like, this is going to be over soon. I've got to piss. Like, fuck, man, I need to go to the toilet. And I was like, nah, I ain't going to the toilet, man. I'm just going to sit here and I piss myself.
No way.
While I was playing RuneScape. And that was it for us. Now it's out there for the internet.
That's fucking, how old were you?
I was like fucking 8.
That's funny as
9, something like that, bro. It's pretty wild.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a funny story, but I'm like,
nah, so
I've got plenty of those, but like probably not.
That'll do.
Yeah,
that'll do. Religion, quickly. Are you religious, spiritual? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm spiritual, bro. Spiritual as. I had a bout of being Christian about 2 years ago, but what I came to realize was that everything that I was doing prior to that, meditating, connecting with Source, really being tuned into myself, listening to my innate intelligence, my intuition, all that's coming from Source. It's all coming from a higher power. It's all coming from God, universe, whatever you want to call it. And the thing that I didn't align with when it came to Christianity was that it had to all be in a box. You know, if you're not this way, you're that way. If you're not doing this, you're that. If you don't do what we say, you're going to hell. Very fear-based. And that didn't really sit well with me. I'm very open-minded. I am very connected, if you like, to, you know, energy and everything like that. And so to be told that if you're not doing it this way, it's wrong, and you're not doing this, you're also wrong, rah, rah, rah. For me, it didn't align, bro. So I'm spiritual, very spiritual, bro. I meditate most mornings. I spend time with myself quite often. I try and have moments of, how would you describe, moments of slowness throughout the day to connect to myself and connect to Source. And I know that I'm here for a bigger purpose, and that every single one of us have a part to play in this beautiful world and this beautiful game we call life. So I know that there's no such thing as insignificance. There's no such thing as a coincidence. That everything happens for a reason, and everyone we meet is here to either teach us something or to learn something from us. So I guess that's about the limit of my spirituality. Any guides, ancestors, Christ, Buddha? Not really, man. Not really. Once upon a time, obviously Christ is different to Christianity. That's right. Yeah, it's a consciousness of Christ. It's a conscious being, right? He was a conscious being, same as, you know, Buddha, same as all those sorts of things, right? Yeah. Oh no, Jesus and Christ are different. Right. Jesus was the man who walked this earth. Yes. Christ is consciousness that he evolved into. Right. Okay. Didn't know that. Yeah. There you go. I learned something new about spirituality. Yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. So look, I just say that I'm guided by the universe. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I fucking love it. What do you want to leave people with, Benny? If you're a man listening to this podcast, know that you don't have to wear a fucking mask. You can be the most raw, authentic, vulnerable, beautiful soul that you are. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And the world needs more of you like that. And if you're a woman listening to this podcast, know that there's always hope. And that if you find yourself in relationships where you feel like you're suppressing or minimizing yourself because the man that you're with is actually a boy, there is someone out there who will meet your needs and step up to the plate. But you both have to do the work. I love it. Benny, thank you so much, brother. It's been such a cracker chat. I knew it was going to happen. Of course it was. Of course. It was cracker. And yeah, so grateful. No, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Fuck yeah. How's it on? Bro, that was banger. Yeah? Come on here. Give me a hug, bro. See, I told you don't need 3 hours, bro. Oh, mate, we can keep going. Don't worry. That's the problem. Come here. You're the man, bro. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for letting me share myself. Thanks for being vulnerable.